He bought an annual subscription on that day just because he's like, all I want to do is see the guy who messaged me 3 months ago.
Hey everyone, and welcome to this episode of Aha Moments podcast with me, Kobi Omenaka. My guest this week is Mitchell Tan, who's the co-founder of Kondo. Now, Kondo makes the crappy LinkedIn inbox way easier and almost a fun place to be. In this episode, we learn a few things.
All I want to do is be able to scroll down and find my messages from 3 months ago.
Number one, why solving a specific problem for a specific niche is really powerful for revenue.
Be my guest, but I will be enjoying my job more than you.
Number two, why enjoying what you do and that notion of founder market fit is really important for your life and also for your career going forward and for your company.
I did 2,000 onboarding calls.
Holy
for
shit.
6 months.
Oh wow. And number three, there's more than three, but three, why did Mitchell do 2,000 onboarding calls, 30 to 40 a day? You'll find out in this episode. Mitchell, thank you so much for joining me on Aha Moments podcast. How are you doing?
Doing amazing.
That's great to hear. Where in the world are you?
I'm currently in San Francisco, so yeah, tech Mecca.
Yeah, well, that's miles away from where I'm in the UK. This is very early morning for yourself, so I very much appreciate that you've taken, you've had some breakfast, maybe a coffee or whatever, and then you're having a chat with me for today.
Yeah, I mean, I wake up every morning to people, our customers in Europe or fewer in Asia, saying, your app needs fixing. How do I do all this stuff? And yeah, thankfully, most of the time, it's not like it actually needs fixing. It's just we need to teach people how to use something.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And that app being Kondo, of course. Not of course to people who don't know, but your app for people who don't know is Kondo.
Yeah, it's Kondo. Yeah. Better LinkedIn inbox for people familiar with Superhuman. The email app is like that, but for your LinkedIn DMs.
Well, we're definitely gonna get to Kondo. Before we're gonna rewind back to earlier on in your career and working our way towards why Kondo was a product you decided to launch into the world, basically. So, what was your first job like? What do you class yourself as? If someone was to say, what do you do before starting Kondo? Are you a developer? Are you a product manager? Are you just someone who's got lots of ideas and can get people working together? What was your bio before Kondo?
So kind of a winding road in startups. I did history in college. I, for a brief moment, wanted to go into academia. Right. Decided not to, and joined a small boutique consulting firm. And then they help big the Coca-Colas and the Googles of the world with kind of marketing strategy stuff. So did that, and then in COVID, I was stuck at home. Every whatever companies were in pause and wait mode, right? So I was kind of getting bored, getting really frustrated, and yeah, that's how I landed in a startup. I joined as the very early go-to-market hire where you just do everything.
Yeah, of course.
Right. So did that for a couple of years, and I think that's probably where I did lots of LinkedIn messages there. So I experienced this from firsthand. It was a few years ago. So I mean, some of the tools we see now, or the whole landscape of tools was kind of different then. But yeah, that's when I remember at that time in the company, Superhuman was a thing, but then it was a very early thing where you couldn't even get access even if you paid. I mean, first I was new in the company, and I was a bit shy of asking my boss to pay for this $30 email app instead of Gmail. But secondly, even when I was boss, can I get this cool thing you have? They were oh, it's invite only, and I don't know how to get you on the invite list. I'm what the hell? You have to pay $30 and it's an invite only thing, right? So I got my first taste of whatever scarcity marketing tactics, and I got my exposure to these cool or premium personal tools that people in tech use to save their time. Since then, and getting all these tools, I was very much thinking of my daily workflow as hey, I have this tool that does this for this other thing. Can I why isn't there that for
the LinkedIn
thing? And that's probably the early seeds of Kondo. Yeah.
So let's rewind back to the first, when you were an early hire at the go-to-market at that startup, because I think that's such an important formative role for a lot of people who then go and start their own startups. And so you would have been like maybe worn 5 different hats at the same time, even though nominally you were hired as one person. So I remember being at
Yeah.
one startup, I was the marketing guy, but then I was also like HR person, IT person, and events coordinator, and all these kind of things. But you just do it, right? And so is that what you had? What was your nominal job description when you started?
Yeah, I think the band-aid was like do what you can, like anything that moves the needle on our ARR, right?
Yeah.
Like you go do it. And then if that ARR is growing fast enough and like you can't do all the things that will move that needle there, then go hire someone, or like we'll get someone else too. I think that was, yeah, the scope was pretty broad, but it was also like, well, your job's to change the revenue
Yeah.
number, and you tell us what you think we should do in service of that, and then you go do it. And then if you need help, we'll help you.
And what getting superhuman wasn't necessarily a part of that way to.
I mean, it's yeah, it's I mean, it's like well, I would say that it's interesting. So I think personal productivity is never like a number one corporate
Mhm.
priority, right? Like, but and I'm not even sure it's the number one personal priority. Like, if you had to spend 2 hours doing an email instead of one, would you not do it? Like, no, I think you'd still do
Mm.
it. So yeah, I see. I think productivity tools are kind of interesting, right? Because they never make it on like the top line item of a company's budget, but they're never that expensive, and they do like make you a lot more efficient and save your time. So I think this is a case where if whatever I we don't have like employees now, we're bootstrapped and early, but like if we ever had employees, I just give people like a credit card with $200 a month and say go buy whatever tools you want to save yourself time and don't,
Yeah.
right.
So I think that nowadays we talk a lot about things like burnout and managing your time. What a lot of the productivity tools do is just makes people's head just that little bit clearer sometimes. So if you were to think, oh, I've got to do all these emails, oh, I've got to go through my LinkedIn inbox. Normally it takes you 2 hours. That bums me out. But when you're thinking, okay, because I have this tool, it's going to take me 1 hour. That often like spurs you on to think, right, I can do that. Just get some music on. Let's just go through this, and then that's the task done, right? So it's often just about what kind of zone people get into with these productivity tools. And then the key, I think, is with pitching that to your superiors to say, I know it's £30 a month, and the alternative is free with Gmail. But also, it means if I spend an hour less doing this every day, that's 7 hours. That's 5 hours per week, of which I can then do other things which can add to the bottom line, or I can just be less stressed. So whether your boss wants to listen to it
Yeah,
or not.
I also think that it's like sometimes the difference between people doing things and people not doing things. So, for example, when I ran that, I did lots of LinkedIn DMs
Mm.
as an employee there, and I mean, it would literally be my job. Like, if we send LinkedIn messages to people and they responded and we didn't respond in a timely manner, it would like it would look really bad on me because like we are reaching out as a
Hmm.
company, and imagine like you get a message from us and we take so long, like you lose credibility, right? And so it was important enough to me that I spent extra hours tracking everything in a
Oh
spreadsheet
wow.
and updating the spreadsheet, and like make like, hey, we reach out these 100 people, like every now and then we like double check to make sure like like we didn't miss anything, so we go through a list of links, and I do it that way, and obviously it took a ton of time, which is why it was kind of frustrating, but I did it. But that's me,
Mm.
like, and I was like, it was my program. I was like whatever the go to market guy at a startup. I was passionate about it, and I was like highly motivated to make sure like it worked, right? But let's say you have a team of sales reps. Sure, they're really motivated to like pick up the phone and call people and book you meetings and stuff like that. But are they so motivated that they'll put in 5 extra hours in their week just to make sure that they track everything and don't lose stuff, right? They might not be very organized people by
Yeah.
default. Some salespeople aren't like, they don't think that way. They're like, I'll pick up the phone and sell stuff,
Yeah. Yeah.
right? Like, don't ask me to update sheets. Don't ask me to like update the CRM. Don't
Wow.
ask me to do
Yeah.
admin work if I was right. And so having the right tool could be like the difference between some of your people or yourself doing the thing or not, right? Because like if you ask a salesperson to like scroll through their DMs a million times and go update a spreadsheet to make sure they lose nothing, they'll just not do it.
This is this is it. I mean, we've kind of jumped around a bit to we
Mhm.
talked about Superhuman. I think it's fair to explain to people who haven't used Superhuman how it works, because when, as you said, it's a tool to help you manage your emails a lot more efficiently, and that comes at a premium price. And I've heard discussions about how they came to that price in the first place, and to a lot of people, that's why on earth would I spend that money? Because there is free, or at least if you're on a premium package on Google, it's like $5 a month to then, and also then you have like a terabytes of storage and all this kind of fancy stuff. But they were creating a new category, they were challenging the productivity angle, and they were pitching directly to these founders and entrepreneurs who were time poor, but also needed to go through these emails. And it meant that, I don't know how they managed to do it, but the way they broke through did actually resonate with people, and they got the traction in that people actually started to talk about how much easier their day was with their emails. And when people are spending half the day on emails, it became really powerful. Superhuman.
I think Superhuman's like a very classic example in the valley of like a very opinionated product,
Mm.
right? Like for example, the way I think Superhuman UI would violate a lot of like UI design accessibility guidelines. It's very low contrast, right?
Hmm.
They deliberately like mute a lot of colors. It feels like very minimalist, and yeah, very little jumps out at you. And like if you have, I don't know, some disabilities, it might be an issue, right? So, but they did it anyway, and like they went the full like, oh, sorry, we have keyboard shortcuts and you have to use them
Hmm.
and you can't change
Hmm.
them, and they're there for a certain reason, right? If you want to change them, it's because you're wrong. Like you shouldn't want to change them,
Yeah.
right? If you want to like mark stuff as unread and leave everything piling up, you should not do that. Like that's the wrong way to do email, right? And so I think that, yeah, that's a classic example of where like they build like a product which might like rub you the wrong way, right? If you have a strong, like they want to change the way you do your
Yeah.
emails into the way they think it's
Yeah.
right, and and they sell you on that by saying, hey, you've never done deep research into productivity and emails. We've talked to all these people. We spent a year or two just talking to like heavy emailers and like coming up with the best way that will get you through your emails the fastest, right? And this is the way. Get on it or don't.
Yeah.
If you don't, we don't care. Like, right? And so I think they're remembered for that, and they deliver. They deliver on their promise because people who do go on the bandwagon do find themselves moving way faster through their
Mhm.
emails, and so and then that reinforces itself, right? People do it, and they're like, no, 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 it's like worth the $30. Yeah, I'm the reviews are great, right? They get very good social proof, and yeah, I think that's how they've built an iconic brand. Yeah, in the startup scene.
And ostensibly for something that's quite boring, I think it's also a testament to the fact that if you solve one problem, one challenge very well, then you can grow a thriving business from it, right? And this is testament to people. A lot of startup owners are, I want to solve this and this and this and this and this, but it's like, okay, let's just solve one problem really, 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 really well, and you can make money from it, right?
Yeah, yeah. I think it's also like, yes, it's
Hmm.
focus, but it's also the depth of thought here, right? It's like it's well, nowadays it's very easy to build apps. You can go vibe code anything you
Mm.
want, right? But it will take a lot of coding and a lot of like talking to like an LLM to get design where like a user shows up and they're like, wow, you've truly thought of like
Hmm.
everything, right? Like all like that thing that I didn't need at first, but like 2 weeks and I'm like, oh, I wonder how I do that. Oh, there's a way to do like that thing, like, right? I think that depth of thought of like, have you gone through all the branches of the tree of like all the things the user could want in this workflow, and have you like intentionally designed for each of that?
Mm.
I think that's something that I don't see with most apps. I think that's where most apps still fall short, and they don't create that level of delight because I think users feel like special when they're like, "Wow, you've truly understood everything I need to do, and you've given me like a better way for that." Right? Most apps are like, "Oh, it kind of does something." but like, oh, I wish it could do this, I wish it could do that, or like it can't do this. At some point, you're like, okay, it's reached its like natural utility curve, like, and like I get what it does, but it's okay, but not outstanding, right? Yeah.
Yeah, I think I've been looking at vibe coding. I've got like a million app ideas, but I think you're right in terms of, oh, I can just tell ChatGPT to make me a prompt, to then give me a prompt that I can put into something like Lovable to make an app, but it won't think of the different permutations. It won't, like you say, with the a key thing with the shortcuts, and we'll obviously get onto this with Kondo as well, is that, like you say, which is interesting, is that no, any other tool, like even if it's like Premiere Pro, if you're editing or whatever, you can change the shortcut to be something that you prefer it to be. Like on my Chrome, F5 for me is system refresh, because that's what I used to use it on a different computer ages ago. But like I said, Superhuman, and it's just like, no, it's just going to be JK now. These are just use those, and if you don't use them, then you're just going to suck. And then after like 2 days, you just get used to using them, and that just makes things, it just forces you into that pattern.
Yeah, I think the interesting thing about this like vibe coding movement is that it suggests that the unlock is like engineering,
Mm,
right? Like you think that, oh, coding is hard, but now everyone can code, and so now everyone can build product. But the reality is that in a lot of like product building, the hard part is not the engineering. The hard part is like the thinking of what engineering should build,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
right? And like how they should build it, and like the 10 ways they can build it, and why is one better than the other when you have no data. Like this is before you've launched a feature or before you've launched your product. So it's not, you have no data on like which will be the better way. You need to have a theory, and you have to have some way to like validate it without like releasing it and thinking that you instantly get data on usage. So I think that's the hard part, and the vibe coding doesn't really unlock that. I mean, I'm sure AI helps with that process to some extent. Like designers use AI to like prototype more rapidly so they can test things more quickly, but it doesn't change the value of the craft of product design. And yeah, just because you have Lovable doesn't mean like it doesn't help you skip that
No.
step. It doesn't help you like suddenly become a very good product designer. And yeah, I think that's something people don't get, right?
So you used Superhuman and then thought, hold on, I'm spending way more time on LinkedIn. This is an important thing, especially go to market, sales and founder relationships. And you thought this is why, well, yeah, talk us through that step between like, hold on,
Yeah.
how could this be a thing for
So
LinkedIn?
yeah, so I mean, I was doing my emails with Superhuman, but then at some point I was sending way more LinkedIn messages because we were like doing. I was like, what on earth? Why am I spreadsheeting my LinkedIn messages? Like, do I spreadsheet my emails? I guess not, right? Like, why is this a thing? And yeah, and it's been a bugbear since. That was like a couple of years ago, and honestly, I didn't go build it immediately. Because I was like, I'm pretty sure there's a tool out there I haven't discovered. I'm sure some startups are already building this. It's like an obvious problem. Yeah, I was just like waiting for either like LinkedIn to make it better, or someone to like build a tool that I could also pay them money for to use. I didn't think it was a very new idea. I didn't think it was like a very. I was like, well, a million people must have thought of this, and someone must be building. And yeah, I shopped over the years for like there are like various things I tried. There are some like LinkedIn CRMs that have like a little
Mhm.
inbox. There are like there was a phase where everyone's like jumping on these automation tools, and automation tools have some inboxes. And I tried a bunch of those, but like it really wasn't what I wanted. I didn't need a CRM. I just needed a damn inbox. I also didn't really need an automation tool. All the automation tools didn't like have built very good inboxes, and that wasn't their value prop, right? So yeah, I think I went through different tools, and I was still disappointed, and the idea kept like brewing in my head. Yeah, at the right time, it kind of like became the company I wanted to build.
It can,
Yeah.
how much of a benefit was it that Superhuman existed as like a template for this? Because in my mind, there's,
A lot.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Remember what I said about. So I earlier said just because you can vibe code, it doesn't take away like the need to like design good
Mhm.
product, and that's still hard. I think having a blueprint helps with that a
Of
lot.
course.
I mean, I wouldn't like. We definitely didn't just like copy paste, right? Like it looks very similar, but it doesn't. It is not exactly the same, and like there are reasons like it's not just because we couldn't copy it exactly or didn't want to. There's some thinking behind like what we copied and what we didn't. But yeah, I mean, having a blueprint really helps, right? Having someone thought think through all the and sometimes, like usually when we do something like a new feature or a new flow, we're like, oh, how does superhuman do
Mm.
it? Why do they do it this
Yeah,
way? Do we want to do it the same way? Like, do we want to do it differently, and why? Right? So it helps when like someone's already done it, and then you can like build, like you can iterate from their thing or just like take what they've done. And so I think that helped us go much
of course.
faster.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so I guess we owe them for yeah, like how fast we could build an MVP, because like we had somewhat of a blueprint to like work on top of. And I mean, we're also not competitive with them, so it's like, no biggies.
Look, this
Like they're happy, we're happy, right? Yeah.
this is it. Yeah. I mean, what when I first heard about Kondo, I was like, oh yeah, because the LinkedIn inbox is terrible. Because I have since you full full disclosure, I have been using Kondo for the past week, past week, and the amount of there's just that one filter which just says emails you, so message you've not responded to, and just within like once it did that, I went through like 10 of them. I was like, oh, I would have literally never seen these ever again unless they like popped in to the top again. If they like said, hey, where are you? So that already was just like that's everything the LinkedIn inbox has been missing, basically, right?
Hmm. Yeah, it's funny. Like people bias on individual features
Mm-hmm.
that are kind of simple. For example, two examples. One example is like someone showed up and they're like, okay, like at that time we're onboarding everyone manually, so you couldn't like get it set up yourself, so you had to book a call and all that stuff. You don't need to now, but yeah, a guy showed up and he was like, okay, show me this thing. I want to use it now. I get what you do. Like, let's go, right? And I was like, okay, let me walk you through. Like, here's how you label people. Here's how you set reminders. He's like, wait, stop. All I want to do is be able to like scroll down and find my messages from like 3 months ago. I'm like, what do you mean? I'm like, okay, then scroll, and they're right there. He's like, yeah, okay, that's all I needed. I'm happy to pay you. Let's go. He's like, everything else is like cherry on top for me. He's like, all I needed to do was like see my messages from 3 months
Mm-hmm.
ago, and I was like, why can't you do that on LinkedIn? And he's like, every time I scroll, and then something will bug out, and then it'll refresh
Yeah,
or
yeah.
something, and then I'll go back to the top again, and I have to go scroll all over again. So yeah, people like he bought an annual subscription on that
Boom.
day just because he's like, all I want to do is see the guy who messaged me 3 months ago. That's all. The end, right? Like, and so yeah, I think LinkedIn is so crappy that they are like people bias and stuff like that. Or some people are just like, all I want to do is like label like my priority people. I want to label hot leads and customers and put them in a separate folder. And that's literally all I wanted. Like, if you did that, you have earned my credit card for however much a month,
Mm.
right? And so I think that's quite interesting. Like, the bar is actually like really low here. And but I think what we've what I hope we're kind of like what we're trying to accomplish is to like make these things like if your goal is to scroll 3 months back, we want to like help you get there in the fastest, most pain-free way. If you want to label stuff, we want to like be the easiest way to label stuff and that makes
Mm-hmm.
sense, right? And so we want to take these like one features that you would bias for and execute it in the best way possible, in a way that takes like the least ramp up time mentally on your part to like figure out how it works.
So you said one was about the scrolling down,
Mhm.
and was the other one labeling, or was that one that you haven't said yet? Yeah,
Yeah,
the labeling.
yeah.
'Cause
I don't like that. By the way, when people are like, all I want to scroll is scroll down, or I want to do is label messages. I'm like, no, don't stop there. Like, let's talk about inbox zero.
yeah.
You have to clear it up. Like let's talk about. You can't just label things. You should also like archive the stuff you're done with, right? And we also try and like prescribe a way of using our product, which makes it more sticky, and we think that makes you more productive in life. But yeah, yeah, whatever. You can't if your users want to pay you money to like use one feature, then
That's
they will.
that's ultimately fine, and hopefully they'll use more of it. And we'll get to the aha moment shortly. I
Hmm.
mean, for me, I just love the using JK to go, yep, and then E to archive. So it's like, don't need that, don't need that, don't need that. Especially now I'm posting more and more on LinkedIn. I'm getting more and more like random messages which don't help me in any way, shape, or form. And if I think too much about them, they just clog up that inbox. So it's just going next E, next archive, next archive. Okay, respond, archive, send, and just to clear them out of my headspace is really, really powerful. And then it just makes it way easier to then address the important ones. Like maybe it's like 5 or 10 really important emails versus the 1,000 messages. Sorry, versus the 1,000 that have clogged up my space is like impressive. And I just get there, put on some music, put on a soundtrack from like Jurassic Park, and just go JKE JK. Hold on, what was that? No, E. Sorry, JK is forward and backwards, up and down the list, isn't it? And E's archive, which means it goes somewhere you don't need to worry about it unless they email you back again, or unless they message you back again. In which case, you can then think, do I want to get in contact with them again?
Yeah, and but by the way, like a note on those shortcuts, they are like shared across many apps. Some of this is like partly inspired by Vim, the code editor,
Oh yeah.
right? But like yeah, these shortcuts work in Gmail, right? They work in like other like they work if you use Attio, the CRM, they work in that too. So I think there's something to how. Hey, I'm like, a productivity nerd or something. I use all these tools, and I show up in your app and I expect like, oh, what if I try the same? Would it work? Right? And then, oh, it does, right? So that's like a mini aha
Yeah.
moment, by the way. Like there's something that you wonder if it works the same way, and it does, and then you're like, oh, right, that's cool. Like I don't have to relearn it. Like it's the same rules I'm used to, and like I'm at home here now, right?
Straight away.
Yeah.
So let's go to the aha moment questions. This podcast is called Aha Moments, and I have 3 questions for you. You've alluded to maybe a couple of them, but for the first question is, can you think of an aha moment that people had, let's say with Kondo, and how did you find out about it? And then how do you try and get people to that point as soon as possible?
Yeah, I'll answer to how we found out about it first. So we onboarded all our early users one on one. I did like 2,000 onboarding calls in
Holy
the first
shit.
6 months.
Oh wow.
So I was doing like 30, 40 calls a day back to back, and like that. Why? Because I could see people onboarding. I could see people like in their first 10, 15 minutes of using the product, and I could ask them about it, and they had to do it because we didn't let you like use the product without an onboarding call, and we obviously lost some people because of that. But it was sort of, you see all the like contextual cues that you wouldn't be able to even from an analytics tool. So that's how we found out. And I think actually my learning from this is that the first aha moment in Kondo is you can see your messages show up in a superhuman like format. Like you press a button and you're like, oh, my messages are here. Like that was fast. I scroll down and it's like, oh, more messages show up. Oh, yeah, these are my LinkedIn messages. What are they doing here? Like how did they show up? Like, is this my email or is this my email or is this my LinkedIn messages? I can't believe that these are my LinkedIn messages. What are they doing here? And like, you mean I can like, and then like yeah. So the idea that you suddenly see something you are familiar with that's like kind of like in a frustrating eye, which you've like grown to hate, and suddenly show up in like this thing which feels a bit friendlier and more usable, I think is an aha moment. It's why like even our onboarding flow now is like you create an account, you connect your LinkedIn, and then your messages load, and then you get a paywall. And
Nice.
we do it that way because we think that like it's a proof point where you can see your messages show up in seconds, right? And then you kind of know where this is going.
Yeah.
Right. You know that now that you can see them here, like things are gonna go like. It's gonna be like Gmail, right? You're gonna be able to do stuff with them, right? And then that's why you pay.
I love that that's engineered into the flow. I love that. That's amazing. That's properly. I hadn't considered that level of thought into it. That people can literally see them. Oh, there's that. Okay, and then shit. Okay, here's my card. I want to carry. I want to get in there straight away. That's awesome.
Yeah.
And that's. I mean, a lot of the people who've come on this podcast have talked about the importance of. I put a post out today as we record about the importance of speaking to your customers, and with that onboarding thing, where I'm sure you could have done it automatically, but the fact you did 2,000 onboarding calls, 30 calls a day, has set yourself up in a really, really powerful way to like going forward. And that's just, to me, that's astonishing and commendable. And I wonder if I should be doing that with everything I do ever going forward.
I mean, I think it's important. Like, by the way, we still offer personal onboarding calls. Now, if you sign up and pay, there's a button which you can go book a call with me. Not most people don't do that. They just watch the video. But yeah, we do that because we think that all the analytics we have in place is not going to give us the same level of insight as like me, like actually getting in your seat and like having you share a screen and see how you use the product. And so we keep that on because I think it gives us some kind of like insight into product usage in a way which like the dashboards will never tell
Yeah.
us. Yeah.
Okay. Second aha moment question. An aha moment in product or service that you buy yourself.
I think this is kind of geeky, but maybe the founders building SaaS tools in your audience will get it. Like customer.io.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
That was like, yeah, that was like that's probably the aha moment there was like, okay, so what was I expecting? I was like, okay, this tool like monitors stuff, like you can trigger email interactions or other interactions, right? I get it. It's like a trigger engine which also like does some actions for you. So I roughly that was like that's what Customer IO does. If I ever need like whatever an onboarding flow or something, I'll do that. But actually, like that was my impression, and it like that didn't sell it for me. So like when we built our email like activation flow, I went with like another tool, Loops, right, and blah blah
Mhm.
blah. And then someday I like dragged my feet back to Customer IO, and that's because I was trying to like we're trying to like set up an email which said, hey, if you haven't been active for 14 days or something like that, we send you an email that says, hey, did you know like you have like 384 messages in your inbox and 28 of them are new?
Wow.
You might want to go
Check them out.
check them out.
Yeah.
Like maybe there's some money in there, right? Like here's a link, right? How do we do that? Right? Basically, we have to like use data in our database. We have to transform it in some way, and then we have to like plug it into like mail merge fields in an email. That's hard. um, that's hard. And in order to achieve it, like the way I would have achieved this is to like get a data warehouse, sync everything in, query some things, sync it to some tools, like sync some properties, and then like build emails, right? I was able to do that in customer.io in basically half an hour, right? Because like, like it was like, oh, you want to sync your database? Okay, like paste your SQL query, right? We'll update the
Yeah.
records. Okay, now go build your email. Like they make it super like self-servable. I think the magic was like, wow, this is actually I don't need like an ETL tool here, right? Like they've kind of built in enough ETL features so that like I can get my production databases transformed. Yeah, we don't need a snowflake because the only reason we need a snowflake is to do whatever we're doing custom IO and they already do it. So like they've helped me skip the step or many steps, right? And that was an aha moment. And I was like impressed by like how I could achieve this with $100 a month. That's immense. Like to be like I pay $100 a month just to set up the one email flow I just told you because it's so powerful for us. And
So you're
yeah.
like flip reversing it for customer.io. You're the one you're the customer that wants this tool for one purpose. You're happy to pay for this one tool for one purpose. Although I'm sure you use customer.io for other things, but that was enough.
Yeah, I think that got me
Yeah,
in.
yeah.
Like honestly, like they had a free trial. I took about a week to like be sure, like set everything up, make sure it's running, and then I was like, I can't live. Like we're not gonna run without this anymore. So obviously we're gonna pay. But honestly, if they had got a customer success guy on a call and like set up this thing for me in 1 hour, I would have paid them like upfront for the whole year, like because I'm not gonna like stop running this.
Sure.
Like and so I think, yeah, that was an example where one feature, like one basically like ETL feature in the product, and like mail merge was like pretty simple, got me in, and then like I'm never leaving, right? Yeah.
And final aha moment question is: can you think of a personal aha moment or life hack that you'd like to share with the listeners and the viewers?
Yeah, I think if you're building a startup or like, in startup world, it's very attractive to ask like what's the biggest idea, right? Like what's the thing that's gonna make me like the unicorn
Mm-hmm.
founder, and then you shop for like the biggest ideas and the most promising ideas, or the ideas that like people haven't found yet. I think that's like I found that very like paralyzing
Right.
because like you're always gonna ask like, oh, how do I be the lovable founder and build a 100 million AR company in like a year or something like that, right? Yeah, there's always gonna be someone who's found a bigger, better idea and got there faster, and then like you'll be paralyzed on the road to figuring out like you'll never like you might chance into it, right? And people have, but you can't like engineer your I think it's very hard for you to engineer your way into like picking the perfect
Mm-hmm.
problem and set up to like be extremely successful financially. I think the that and then you might be unhappy on the way there and it will likely fail. So like, like it might not like be rewarding. I think my aha moment was like, I'm looking for the idea which I'm happy doing anyway,
Mm,
even if it fails. Like, I enjoy thinking about the problem and the product all day. And it's like like all the bits and pieces or most of the bits and pieces that come with building a company around this product made me happy. Like, I'm happy doing 2,000 onboarding calls with people because I like talking about like messages and workflows and how you can like do things faster and do things better, right? I don't like talking about how, like all the stakeholders on your side of the table, and
yeah,
like how do we like engineer this deal, and how do we prove something to this guy. That's not me, right? I don't like to talk about like like the 200 places your data is in and what the perfect way to join it is, right? um, I love talking about, hey, you have this workflow, it's taking you a lot of time. How can we like, cut the time in two on a recurring basis, right?
mm,
Like, how do you like you to take 5 clicks to do this thing? How do you do it in one? Like, I really enjoy thinking about these like simple optimizations which can add up. And for me, that's why I'm doing this. I mean, we're growing fast, but like probably there's some other idea we could pivot to, which where we'll grow 2x faster. But I might not be happy doing it. I might like not pick the right one. And so I think founder market fit, like find the thing like that's the unlock. Like instead of like looking for the biggest, best idea, like look for the most you idea, right? Like what is the thing that you are more happy doing than most people would be happy
yeah.
doing? And that's probably a good way to like you'll be very motivated to keep working at it, and you'll enjoy it a lot, and you'll end up and as a result you end up doing it much better than other people because they don't enjoy it as much, right? There are lots of people who like, now that we have seen some traction, I bet you there are a bunch of indie hackers out there who are like, oh, I can build Kondo in 3 days, and let's go like eat their lunch, and like, by the way, you're welcome to, like, let's go, right? But like most of those people don't enjoy obsessing over like workflow, UX, and messaging as much as I
Yeah,
do. And so like, be my guest, but I'll be enjoying my job more than you. Thank you. And it's got nothing to do with the money we're making. It's just like, I like this stuff.
I, I, I genuinely love that, Mitchell. I think the founder market fit thing I think is important. But I think one, perhaps just touching on Lovable briefly, I think, well, for me, the thing that attracts me about Lovable is, oh, I can maybe make a tool that helps my life out. And if it helps other people out, then great. But in my mind is like, oh, that's what could potentially happen. I'm not necessarily thinking about making products out of it that can sell. It's more like, this is a specific, like you had with Kondo, like you identified with the inbox. Here's a specific challenge that, if it only solves my problem, and I'm happy to work in it and make it as best for me, that's actually quite a nice thing to have. But from what you're saying, there's 2,000 onboarding calls later, 30 calls a day, you're still like big smile on your face when you wake up having conversations with people in Europe and Asia.
I'm pretty sure to qualify that. I'm pretty sure that like if you're growing like hotcakes, and like you're making a ton of ARR, everyone's gonna be happy regardless of whether you like the product or
Mm.
not. But like the problem is like it's not determined. Like, you can't guarantee that that's gonna be
No,
you,
no.
and how long it will take to get there, right? So like, I think that's not a good sole criteria. Like you can't be like, I'm gonna pick the thing that's gonna grow the fastest. Like, if you could like very accurately pick the thing that's gonna grow the fastest, you should go be a VC, by the way, because like you'll make a shit ton of money, right? Like, but the likelihood is like you're picking like good shots on
Yeah.
target, and you might have to get through a few shots. So yeah. Pick the thing that makes you happy. If not, why do this? Especially if you're an engineer and you can go get a job at Google, right? You might end up making more money over 4 years, like getting a whole bunch of stock options at Google, than like doing your own startup, unless it like totally takes off, which is like one in a million,
Hmm.
right? So, but why are you doing this? For the passion of it, right? And because you enjoy this game, and so go pick the game you enjoy, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mitchell, are you happy for people to connect with you on LinkedIn and to, obviously, I'll put the link in for Kondo. Are you happy for people to use Kondo who listen to this?
Yeah, of course. Like Mitchell Tan, Tan on LinkedIn. Find the guy with the red post box next to his name, or
So
yeah,
is that red post box going to stay there
yeah.
the whole time now? You're not going to get rid of that?
We are the better post box, but yeah, so connect with me, or try Kondo.com. If you sign up for Kondo, I'll be sure to connect with you, and we can chat in Kondo.
Perfect. Dude, thank you so much for your time. Thank you so much for Kondo. I gotta do some DM stuff right now after this call.
Well, at least now it's not gonna be like a sad like bang wall on head.
Yeah, that's it. Thank you so much, Mitchell, for your time in this episode. Thank you so much for making Kondo, because, guys, it's amazing. You need to try it out. If you're spending any time at all in LinkedIn DMs, it used to terrify me, and now it doesn't. So thanks to Kondo, that's why. So if you do want to get in contact with Mitchell, or if you do want to try Kondo, the links are in the show notes below. I think we've got a link in there which gives you 30 days free trial of Kondo. But try it out. Watch the YouTube video. I'll also link to the YouTube video to get started on the platform as well. It's only like 5 minutes, and you'll save like a ton of time just by watching it. Do everything we love you to do as podcasters, as people here on YouTube or Spotify video. Like, subscribe, comment in the details below, and share with your friends. Share with your friends, because that's really important. If you share with one person, one colleague, one friend, one family member, that would be really cool, and it means that I'll love you forever. Well, if that's what you want, of course.